Good morning, 8th graders, and welcome to virtual math class. Today, we're going to be talking about solving equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign. And our objective for today is students will be able to solve equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign by combining like terms. So taking it a step further, like what I was talking about whenever we were in class last. This is that next step. So if I have the equation 8 plus 7b equals 6b, notice that I have a variable on both sides of my equal sign. I have 7b and I have 6b. So remember that anytime I need to, first of all, I need to combine those like terms. So I need to combine those like terms. And then anytime you move something over that equal sign, you have to do the opposite operation or the inverse operation. So right now, I need to combine 7v and 6v together. So in order to do that, I look at v. I need to move the 7v over to the 6v. Otherwise, I would have nothing on the side of 6v. So I look at 7v. I'm adding 7v, so the inverse is going to be subtracting. So I start by subtracting 7v. Positive 7 minus 7 cancels out, and I'm left with 8 equals 6v minus 7v is negative 1v. So now I have a negative 1v. That does not tell me what v equals. So now I have to divide both sides by a negative 1. So when I do that, negative 1 divided by negative 1 cancels each other out. So I get that v equals, what is 8 divided by negative 1? Negative 8. So v equals negative 8. And if you plug all of negative 8 in for v, both v's, you should get that each side of the equal sign equals each other. Try it out on your own. And our next problem, it works the same way. So essentially what I'm doing is I get my variables on one side of my equal sign, and then I get my numbers on the other side. So I need my variables together on one side and my numbers on the other side. So what I look at negative 7n and this negative 8n. They need to be combined together. So I need to move the negative 8n over to the 7n. So that it is a negative 8 or minus 8. So the opposite inverse operation is in fact going to be to add. So I'm going to start by adding 8n on both sides. When I do that, negative 8 plus 8 cancels out. So on this side, I'm left with negative 9 equals. Now negative 7 plus 8 equals 1n, or just n. So I get that n equals 9. And again, you can check yourself to make sure that that is correct. Okay, this one's taking it a step further. So I always draw my line down my equal sign. So on this one, I have a number and variables on both sides of my equal sign. So what you move, it doesn't really matter what you move first. So just remember that you want your variables on one side and your numbers side on the other side. So you want your variables together on one side and your numbers together on the other side. So I am going to get my variables together first. I like keeping my variables positive, so I'm going to move my 5n over to the 7n. So that 5 is being subtracted. I have minus 5n. So I'm going to start by adding 5n, because adding is the inverse operation of subtracting. So that cancels out, and I'm left with 5 equals, what is 12n plus 5n? 7n plus 5n, sorry. It equals 12n. And then I have minus 7. Now, I need to move the minus 7 over to the other side. So I'm subtracting. What is the inverse operation? Adding. So I add 7 on both sides. That cancels out on this side, and I am left with 12n equals, what is 5 plus 7? 12. Now, I need to get n by itself. I am multiplying right now. So I'm going to start by dividing by 12. What is 12 divided by 12? 1. So n is going to equal 1. Check it and make sure you agree. Next one, we're getting a little bit bigger. So I draw my line down my equal sign. So I'm going to start by combining anything that I can combine on either side. So I look at my left side first. I have negative 10p minus 5. Nothing can be combined. So I'm just going to rewrite it. Negative 10p minus 5 equals Now, I have negative 4p minus 8p. I can combine those. What is negative 4 minus 8? Negative 12. So I have negative 12p plus 9. Now I can do just like what I said. So again, I like keeping my variables positive. So I'm going to add 12p on both sides. Remember, you want your variables together on one side and your other numbers together on the other side. So I have a negative 12 plus 12. That cancels out. Now, what is negative 10 plus 12? Positive 2. So I have 2p minus 5 equals, on this side, all I'm left with is 9. Now, this should look a little more familiar. So 2p minus 5, I need to get rid of that 5. So I do the opposite of subtracting, which is going to be to add. I add 5 on both sides. Negative 5 plus 5 cancels out. So I'm left with 2p equals 9 plus 5 equals what? 14. I then divide both sides by 2 because anytime you have a number and a letter together, that means you're multiplying. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I get that p equals, what is 12 divided by 2? 7. So p equals 7. Good job. Check it. And our last example. Woo! So, like I said, look at either side of your equal sign separately. See if you can combine anything. On this side, I have negative 2c and I have a negative 9c. I can combine those. What is negative 2 minus 9? Negative 11. So I have negative 11c minus 10 equals 8 minus 9c. Now, I look at how I can move to keep my c's positive. It doesn't really matter because either way you work it, you're going to get the same answer. Whether I move this 11c to that side or if I move the 9c to this side. Either way, you're going to get the same answer. So I'm going to start by adding 11c to both sides. So when I add 11c, that cancels out over here. So I get that negative 10 equals, now I bring down the 8 because I didn't do anything with 8. Now I have negative 9c plus 11c. What is negative 9 plus 11? 2. Positive 2, right? So I have 8 plus 2c. Now I need to get rid of the 8. That 8, I look at, is that 8 positive or negative right now? It's positive. So the opposite operation is going to be to subtract. So I subtract 8 on both sides. 8 minus 8 is 0. So that cancels out. So I'm left with 2c equals, what is negative 10 minus 8? Negative 18. Now, what's my last step going to be? Divide both sides by 2. So what is negative 18 divided by 2? Negative 9. Sorry. Negative 9 equals c is what I'm going to end up with because 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I'd be left with c equals negative 9. C equals negative 9. Fantastic job. I hope this makes sense. No worries. We're going to practice this in person together tomorrow, but here is your introduction.